Hey folks, Ken here. Just a quick update on what's been going on. As you can see, the pond water, well, it's better than it was a couple of weeks ago. It's gone a bit cloudy, but having said that, it hasn't really been covered and there's been a lot of sun in the last few days. Update on fish flashing. Still an awful lot of flashing going on, to the point where a few of the fish have injured themselves. My large gin Matsuba, now not majorly, and I possibly could have just left it. One of the kahakus as well on one side had two open wounds. So what I did was, on Friday night I took them out. I had a table set up here and I had my blue measuring bowl with a bit of koi sedate and water, obviously, so netted them out in my pan net, koi socked them in, and then waited till they sort of tilted over. I didn't bother videoing it, it was too bloody stressful, to be honest, on both me and the fish, and the process is well documented in other videos if you do a search. But I just sort of topically treated, and while I was at it, and they have responded well. It's just on the other side of that guy, if you can see, it's just a very slight redness. It's closed up on his gill. It was open and very red there on Friday, so I had the Kashuri treatments there and just treated them. I also, when I had them sedated, did good scrapes on them, the three fish I'd out, and again couldn't find anything. Had somebody more experienced than me, I'm able to video from the microscope and sent the videos on, and they said no, there doesn't seem to be anything obvious there. I've checked all the water parameters, literally everything, you know, ammonia, nitrite, chlorine, pH, KH, the whole lot. The only one that's slightly up is nitrite. It's up to 0.2, which, you know, last year I'd nitrate up at 0.25 for a lot of the season, and I didn't have these issues, so I'm not too sure that's my problem. You know, I just saw earlier today one of the goldfish actually was going mad, just continuously flashing along the bottom of the pond, which is unusual to see the goldfish do it, so there's something agitating them. You know, I've read up on what, obviously there's parasites, there's water parameters can do it, sun can do it. Now, me not being covered, but even the last few weeks, or the last few days, it hasn't been as sunny as it has been the last, well, yesterday morning wasn't, yesterday afternoon and evening was. So I don't know. I noticed the Kajaku flashing there last night. I'm thinking I might take him out, and just a little bit of koi sedate, and maybe do concentrate in around the gills a bit more and see if I can find anything. Again, you know, they're not struggling to breathe, it's purely just flashing, it's not clamped fins sitting down the bottom. So I really don't know. It's the fact they're injuring themselves. The Carrigachoy was another one I doubt. He's healed up just near his tail on that side. You can't really see now. He'd taken off his scale and was red. So anyway, just something to keep an eye on. But I really got away easily last year. I didn't have to treat once. I had no issues, but this year for some reason is more than making up for it. And not only are the fish flashing, but I was out last night and a few of them are jumping as well, so there's something really irritating them. But I have the net, one of the reasons I have the net, so I've no risk of them going overboard. Lilies, that one's coming on well. I think that might actually be a bud, a flower bud there. We'll wait and see. A little bit of algae on them. Yeah, I always find in the back I get blanket weed that I don't get in the main ponds, but anyway, and the four fish that are there, and the amount of sediment that's in there and you can see the amount of goldfish poo as well, the amount of waste poor goldfish can create when you don't have a bottom drain. But anyway, that looks like another boat there as well. Hopefully I get a few couple of flowers. That one's doing nothing. Those curly leaves, I said before, I don't know whether it's just a shite lily, and that one's curled, though some of these leaves are okay on it, but it really hasn't had anything. So that's it on the pond. I'll just have to keep an eye on it, but hopefully none of them injure themselves any further. You can see the water clarity there. It's better than it was, but again, like to do it a bit of cover over the pond. Pergola, had a bit more of a think about that and was looking at plans and potential ways I could do it, and I had a discussion with a couple of people, and the kind of advice was that you would at the very least want, I'm just opening this up, I'll show you here, at the very least want the sort of advice of a carpenter, of somebody who knew what they were doing. I just took this off. These weren't particularly well held. You can see there's a lot of cement there, or mortar, whatever you want to call it. It didn't really stick on the tiles, you can see there. And then the guy who put them on, he did do a bit of mastic, or whatever you want to call it, sealant there that was more or less holding this one in place, to be honest. So removing these and maybe, you know, hammering down into a sort of a level piece of that, and then drilling in to put in post. I just need to make sure I don't lose that. Post holders wouldn't be the most difficult thing to do. It's getting them cut when the post holders are in place is something I'd need to think about. You know, you'd be looking to cut a hole in this, which I wouldn't do myself, to be honest. And the problem is, I bought these at the end of a line. I got them very reasonable for less than €200 to do the whole pond. I think I've one spare, so I really don't want to be breaking them. So this one isn't off, but it's not far off. I just need to break the seal there. There's just a bit of mastic holding that. But anyway, the advice I'm getting is that, given I'm in such an exposed area, that I was building a standalone pergola, I'd really want to know what I was doing in terms of the structure, to make sure that it, on a very stormy night, as we do get, that, you know, I wouldn't have problems with it, or it wouldn't, you know, potentially damage the wall of the pond. It'd be even worse. And just to remind you, my big heavy pond covers that you would have seen in previous videos, a couple of them actually lifted in the heavy wind before I started tying them down. So we do get fairly strong winds here. So the other thing is the fact that I have the shed here for stability. And I know with the design of a lot of pergolas I've seen, a lot of the sort of standard design of a pond is you build your pond and then you build your filter house at the back, and the filter house has a high wall and the pergola goes onto the wall, and that makes a huge difference in terms of stability. I obviously don't have that. What I could potentially do is go tack it on to this wall, and you know, maybe even do away with 2 legs on this side. And you know, I was saying to my wife, well, maybe if I put 3 legs along here on the wall, went across onto here, and then just had 1 leg in the gravel there. Now it would mean that it wouldn't be centered on the pond. How would that look? I think it would probably look okay, to be honest. The other option is to put the 3 legs on this side into the ground. Now, if you were to even it up with the gap there, it means that one of the legs would be here, and it would be right in the middle of the walkway from the garden through to the patio, which again isn't great. So I'm still thinking about it, but I'm still thinking as well, I probably need to get somebody who knows what they're doing. You know, I was just looking at rough figures and measurements on wood, I reckon the wood be about 600 to 700 euro. The because I'm sort of going 5 meters by nearly 4 meters, the roofing, which would likely be polycarbonate, would be well over €1,000. It's just crazy money, polycarbonate at the moment. But the advice is that if you want something that's going to last you and can withstand, you know, wind and all the rest, that is the best thing to go for. You can get the cheaper corrugated plastic, but it doesn't last. It cracks very easily, and I'd say a bad storm and it'll probably crack. The other thing I have is that when my pond was being built, I had a choice. The brickie said, you have a choice of going square with the patio or square with the shed. He said he's checked and they're not square, although they look it. And I said, I'll go square with the patio, because I thought, you know, keeping this gap where the stones are. But, you know, again, now it's not much. Actually, I measured here and here against the, you know, against the pond here and the wall, and they're the exact same. Now I reckon though when you get out here, it would probably be widely different. Again, a good carpenter could probably compensate for that and manage it, but I wouldn't trust myself to do it. So I would, you know, I've just been told, well, you could spend 600 or 700 euro on wood and money on polycarbonate, and then have something that's not structurally sound or looks well, and have wasted your money. And you know, maybe for another 500 or 600 euro, you'd get a carpenter in and pay for the labour and get it done properly. So that's probably what I'll wait and do. But it's just the amount of sun, to be honest, in the last few weeks particularly, that has made me start thinking about that, because I think my UV is okay, it's just, it's not coping with, you know, I've got a large volume, surface volume there, and it's not coping with the water. So or it's not coping with the amount of sunlight. There's a lot of filament algae you can see in the water there as well, and that's just to be expected, I suppose. But otherwise, you know, besides that, you know, happy enough with the way things are going. Just need to get on top of what this bloody problem is with the fish. Maybe it would settle. If it's a parasite, it won't. I'm going to have to find out what it was. But the fact that I scraped 4 fish at this stage and I found nothing, I'm not too sure. There's a goldfish down there, see him? Just constantly, that he was at it earlier. And in order to scrape big koi, to be honest with you, you need to sedate them. Just go in here. So what else have I been doing? I did change my I've had a bit of floss in here as well as others have done in backy showers. I'll just show you. I changed it on Friday, and as you can see, it's already gone very green. So it is helping, but you know, it doesn't last very long. It just goes to show that is coming from the clean side of the drum and the steel. A lot of debris obviously in it that the floss is catching, but you know, I think others have shown that drums, while they're good, they're not perfect. I can't remember what the sieve is. There's a rating, microns on. I just opened this up, too noisy now. Let me just turn that off for a minute, will help. And I'll turn off the shower. The micron on the sieve you can get, I think mine is 80 as far as I know. You can get, no sorry, it's higher. So mine is 120 I think, which is the little holes. You can go down as low as 80, or I think I've seen 60. But the problem is, if you do that, it obviously slows down your water flow, and the drum will be washing far more often. So I mean, you can't even see holes. That is very, very fine. You can't even, not getting it in focus there, but it is extremely fine as it is. I do notice I got a hose in to my waist there, the gully, and you know, you can see there. I wonder is that where the food is coming. You can just see it's not coming into focus very well, and the light is on. If I can get a bit of light on it, there is waste going over there, and I wonder, you can just see it there, and there was a lot more there. If that is where that food was getting over into the clean side, I don't know. But anyway, I did bring in the hose and just obviously within the waste gully, I put it up inside the drum and let it run the amount of crap that came out. So it was a lot of waste. I do notice as well, I think I said it last week, the drum is working very hard at the minute to get the sort of debris out of the pond. So it's you know, it's definitely doing its job, but it's working hard. As I say, I tested all the water parameters. The only thing is nitrite, which was fine. It was sort of down below 0.1. Like the Hannah kit will always show some nitrite because there has to be nitrite in the pond for the cycle to work, whereas a normal sort of liquid test kit will tell you it's 0, but it's not really 0. There's always something in there, and mine was 0.1. But ever since I did the F&M treatment, which does kick the filter a bit, it went up to 0.25, it's come back down to 0.2. What I did as well was just to see if it helps, I eased off the feeding. I was feeding 4 times a day, around 160 grams in total, so 40 grams each time. I reduced that down to 3 times a day to see if it helps. Looking at that goldfish, it's not really. And if I look at the F&M as well, you know, in terms of protozoa, you know, it gets rid of, this isn't focusing very well today for some reason, but you'll have to take my word for it. It says it does white spot, Chilodenella, most protozoan parasites. So, you know, you'd imagine if I miss something, that should have got it anyway, you know. So, and there's no sign of flukes. And I mentioned last week as well, I did a precautionary treatment of flubanol. It's about 3 weeks ago now, so that should have killed off anything that was there. But anyway, I will continue to keep an eye on the fish and just whip the odd one out and do a scrape and see if I can find something. But it's frustrating, it really is, particularly when the fish are injuring them. But that is it. If you have any ideas on fish flashing or pergolas, let me know. But as I say, otherwise everything is sort of running okay. Didn't do my bottom drain flush. I just turned up the pumps to full for about an hour and let it sort of pull a bit of more crap through the bottom drains, which it did. And then, as I say, I washed out the gully, so the drum was fairly dirty. But other than that, I haven't really had to do an awful lot this week on the sort of maintenance side of things. But I shall leave it at that. Any comments, really appreciated. If you're having similar flashing, and I know a couple of people have said they're having flashing problems and haven't found anything either. If you did find something, let me know, or any thoughts on what it could be, let me know. But otherwise, I'll leave it at that. Cheers, thanks for that.